Good morning. Happy Saturday. So this is me doing a video from this review packet and going over some things that I probably have said already in class, but I feel like they're worth saying again. First problem is finding h prime of 3. Before you ever find a value of a derivative, you need to find the derivative symbolically. So don't stick that 3 in there too soon. So h prime of x is f prime of 5x minus 9, and then we'll do a little chain rule there, times 5. Finding h prime of 3 gives us f prime of 6 times 5. So now we're going to go to the graph, and yes, the graph is a piecewise function. Never, ever, ever do I want you to write out your different pieces, the different equations that make up this graph. I just want you to go to that point on the graph, and hopefully it's on a line, and you can tell the slope. So if we go here to 6 is on that piece of the graph that has a slope, aka derivative, of 1. So we have 1 times 5, which is 5. Very straightforward. Please be expecting something like that on your test because we're going to look at different things to do with a graph. Okay? All right. Then it takes us down here to BC4, approximating p prime of 5. I think it's very important before you approximate something where they want you to interpret and use units, to be familiar with the units that you have. Right now, P is in people per second. So if we do a change of people per second, so over a change in time, your units are going to be people per second squared. And hopefully you realize that that sort of sounds like acceleration. That's like an increase in the rate or a decrease in the rate. This is already a rate, and you're looking to see sort of what the rate itself is doing. So closest to 5 is 4 and 6. So we're going to do P6 minus P4, so 10 minus 5 over 6 minus 4 gives us 5 halves. You've already gone up to the chart to see what that's going to look like. So your units are people per second squared. Change in people per second over seconds. Now, what does this mean? Well, our 5 halves is positive. So the rate of people per second is increasing at, let's give them a nice little sentence here, 5 halves people per second squared at t equals 5. Make sure that you incorporate that 5 in there somewhere, that this isn't happening at another time, but specifically at time. And one thing I didn't say is this is an approximation. So maybe I'll add approximate rate of people per second is increasing at 5 halves people per second squared. Okay. Again, I use the word increasing because 5 halves was positive. All right. Page 2. Let's see where we are now. All right, let's pay attention to what this is. Very important. This is f prime, not f. So in BC1, it wants to know where f has a horizontal tangent line, and for each value of x, determine whether f has a relative minimum, relative maximum, or neither at that x value, and we're going to justify our answers. So we are looking for f prime being 0, and that's at x equals 6 and x equals 1. So are those values, are those x values between -3 and 8, are they a relative min, max, or neither? So let's go to 1. F prime at 1 is changing from being above the graph to below the graph. So at x equals 1, we have a relative max, f prime changes, make ourselves more room here, from plus to minus. Okay, over here at x equals 6, we have the other happening. F prime is below to going above. So at x equals 6, we have a relative min. F prime changes, minus to plus. And there are your answers with your justification. Okay. BC3 could have been easily on your last test. Doesn't hurt to go over this again. Again, we're going to take the derivative symbolically. We have a quotient. So low, d high, e to the gx, chain rule times g prime, minus e to the g of x times 3 over 9x squared. Finding h prime of 6, puts a 6 in everywhere, so we have 18 times e to the g of 6 power minus g prime of 6, running out of room, no, times g prime of 6. Turn that into a big fat dot, minus e to the g of 6 times 3 all over 9 times 36. And trust me, I'm going to leave it as 9 times 36. All right, let's go to the chart. G of 6 is 0. G prime of 6 is 1. And again, G of 6 is 0. So e to the 0 is 1, and that's a really mess over there. So let's see what I can do here. We've got 18 times e to the 0. So 18 times 1, okay, that's just 18, minus 3 times
your vegetables.